òkè mount òkè pamọ́ mountain back to Atlantic Ocean open me hills to country to educate, elevate and promote. Yeah, focus on Liberia. For Liberia, Liberia. For Liberia, yeah. From Monday to Sunday. From Monday to Sunday. It's focus on Liberia. Talk about home affairs. Hey. In diaspora. Current affairs. Reliable information. History. Talking about culture. Politics. Education. Entertainment. Business. Sports. Advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday. Focus on.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of On Point. This is our anniversary month. We are here talking some great things. We'll be paying some tribute to some of our fallen heroes. We will also be advertising our upcoming show for the rest of the month. Next Sunday, we're going to have our CEO, Mr. Dennis Jai, here. We will profile his picture later on. And then after that, we're going to have Mr. Anthony Kwumakwa. We're going to profile that picture also. But for the time being, we are asking you to please do us a favor, share this show. Share this show in your chat room. Your friends may not be my friends. Some of you belong to bigger platforms. Share this show. Get involved. Also, today we are going to be thanking some of our ardent supporters, followers, even those who troll us. Those, it doesn't matter whether you praise us, you criticize us. If you are one of those that have always been here, we will recognize you. We are voting. We got some names already. Some of you troublemakers, we will have your name already. We are now hunting you down. We will call you and actually show you a little sense of appreciation for who we are and what you have done over the years. Can you imagine, Mr. Eastman? We are going on 5 years of On Point. Mr. Eastman, welcome.
Yes, Mr. Gaiman, thanks. It's a pleasure to be here on such an intellectual platform. We have been uncompromising over the years. We want to be balanced in our reporting, and nobody gets a free ticket. So we entertain all sides of the argument, and we will like to do justice to the issues. It's a rough road, and sometimes it's a very lonely road. Other platforms use a combination of gossip and sensationalism, but we have always been the type that try to bring you as authentic information as we can, and to evaluate the points from both angles of the discussion. So it's been a pleasure being here, and I really appreciate this platform. It's why I fervently come on every week, because I believe we owe it to ourselves and we owe it to our people to provide a limelight on issues that concern us, so that we might bring some awareness to the issue and promote what is Liberia and what Liberian dreams are. So it's a pleasure, sir.
Great. And Mr. Eastman, happy anniversary, on point anniversary. You've been with me 3 years. When my brother Edward Doe passed, you were the only one that stepped in, and you comforted us. We went through the grieving process. A young man with big dream. He passed on, and we are still keeping his memory alive. So we want to thank you. Mr. Tao, you've been with us now going on a year. Thank you very much for all you have done. Join us on our anniversary. How are you doing in Texas, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I'm glad to be here on the 5th anniversary, right?
Yes.
The 5th
Yes.
of On Point. I watched for many years. I watched FOL, and I was like, man, I want to participate and kind of make a contribution on this platform. And so it was in December. I watched On Point, and then after I watched it, I got your number, Mr. Givman, and I text you, and immediately you responded, and we communicated, and you said, "Man, send me a resume, and we're gonna have you on there." And it's been 10 months today, so I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity for me to be part of this platform.
Great. I think the same disease that got Mr. Kamara got Elvis. He's upside down.
Maybe he's a Waka supporter because that's what happened to them.
Yeah, other than upside
Turn
down.
upside down before you know they're gone.
Ladies and gentlemen, do us a favor. Mr. Eastman, if you could share the show in our platform On Point. That's the only way I can get it. I don't know what happened. For some reason, I cannot get, I have done everything. Facebook blocked me. I can't even share my own show. So if you can share it in the chat room, I can then go from there and then forward it to all my inbox.
Yeah, like for people that I share it with, I just tell them to go to YouTube, because that's the area that I get all the alert from.
Okay.
Yeah, from YouTube, great. And then I go in and just like subscribe, and then I get the alert to any of the FOL program that come on.
Great. Mr. Elvis Morris, welcome to the show. This is the 1st of September. It's our anniversary.
We're not live on YouTube.
We are not?
Yeah, it's live. It's live. Look, I just received the alert.
Yeah, we are on
should
YouTube.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's live.
It's like,
so, gentlemen, let's share this show. Today, September 1st, is On Point's birthday. We have been here. I'll give you a little history, and then, I welcome Mr. Elvis Morris. After that, we'll give you a little breakdown, a little history of On Point. We have been around for a while. On many of the platforms, these segments of the show come and go, but we have been here, and we talk about years. So we are glad to have made it this far, and with stellar people like Mr. Eastman, Mr. Tao, and the rest of the folks, we look forward to being around for a while, because this is what journalism is all about. While we do not have a degree in journalism, when I was in undergraduate school, I did a class in journalism. And it said the sole purpose of journalism is to serve your community with news. It should be based on facts and some degree of accuracy. So you got to have those things in your soliloquy. You can't just get up and say, Eastman stole $10 billion, like somebody said, Tweet did. How can you say the man stole billions when the entire country budget is $600 million? How can you steal $10 billion in one? So people who say these things, they are into sensationalism. That we don't do here. When Mr. Tower is talking, he likes to talk about his facts, and these are things that you can check out. You can go and check them out. If he's not telling the truth, you can just, and if it's not truthful, he won't say it. So is Mr. Eastman. Mr. Eastman is a professional person who has been around in a lot of experience. When he says something, you can go and check it out. Mr. Namwe, welcome to our
What's good?
anniversary. This is our On Point anniversary. We are glad that you're celebrating with us. You are one of the newest members on here, but you've been here almost a year.
Absolutely. And thank you guys for all that you did to pave the way for some of us to join you. Happy anniversary. We wish you all the best going forward.
Yes, and my before I get started here, let me post this one right here. Sam Waller said, I failed my journalism class when I was in freshman year, 1980 something. I might have failed that class. This is Sam Waller. I would say he is my number one ardent, some committed fan of this organization right here.
He never takes a break.
You can't. Sam Waller and Livingstone, there is nobody on here that can beat those two. And when it comes to calling, Elvis Morris is number one on when it comes to calling. Mr. Morris.
Yeah, I don't know why they keep kicking me off. Every time I come on after like 2 minutes, it kicks me off. I don't know. Yeah, I had to restart my phone.
And the Waka people, man, they don't like you. Go ahead. Welcome. This is our anniversary. We celebrating.
Yeah, Mr. Gamer, thank you. I mean, this is the show I've been the most consistent on for over, I think, maybe 2 years, maybe, if I'm not mistaken. I know it was before the elections, so for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always a privilege to be on this platform. I think, being given the opportunity to come on and express ourselves, it's always a privilege. And also, I'm proud of this platform. One reason is because this is not a platform that's connected to any other quote unquote politicians in Liberia. This is a platform that's, wholly and solely, held up by Mr. Ja, the likes of, Anthony Sia, and, and all of us who may donate from time to time our little $5 or $10 to keep the platform running. Also, it's not a platform that's built on stolen wealth. I must say that. It's not taking a pot shot at anybody, but it's a platform that's been sustained by, the proprietor of this network, by their own sweat, and the strength of their programming on this platform has been incredible over the years. That's why some of us, this is our platform of choice. We don't go where the 10,000 views is. We don't go where everybody is cussing my cuss because it's a popular thing to do. For those of us who like intellectual discussions and who like to see respectable people on the platform, we come here and we stay here because we know this is the best platform, the most respectable platform. So I must give kudos to Mr. Ja and of course you, Mr. Gayman. I know you're busy and but you continue to consistently come on every Sunday, at least most Sundays when you can make it. And also to the other panelists like Mr. Padmore and Mr. Eastman, of course, Mr. Namboy, Mr. Taiwo, Dr. Booty. All of us who take our time to come on the platform every Sunday, it's great. And nobody's getting paid for it. The biggest thing for me, again, before I close, is nobody went out and stole money from other people and and who went and monopolized the media space and say they got the biggest platform. This is an organic network that grew from the grassroots. I started watching this network, I think, in 2017 or 2018. Almost as far back as when it first started. So I think it's come a long way. We've had a little bump, we had little bumps in the road, but this network have a long way to go when we have people like yourself, Mr. Padmore, Mr. Gabe, Mr. Eastman, who are helping to propel it to where it's supposed to be. So it's always a pleasure to be on, and thanks for having me on again.
Thank you.
And it certainly is an honor to share the platform with you, young fellow Elvis. You do bring a lot to the table as well.
Thank you, Mr. Nam.
Let's share the show, gentlemen. Today is a special show. We are celebrating our anniversary, and in so doing, in our profession, all profession, those of us that went to school, plagiarism is an intellectual crime. It's an academic crime.
Automatic fail. You need expulsion, maybe.
That's how it's supposed to be. So when somebody does something well, or even if it is their idea, you have to give them credit for what it is. It was about 5 years ago that a gentleman by the name of Edward Doe called me and said, Mr. Gaiman, you love to debate. You love President Weah. Not that I hate him, but you have to convince me why you think he's the best crewman that was chosen by the Liberian people to be president. So I told him, I said, Mr. Doe, I know exactly where you're going. All of you guys with PhDs and masters, you think you are the one that should have been chosen to be president of Liberia, and the Liberian people chose President Weah, and you all are upset. He said, "You damn right. Do you know how long it took Toer and he went down to the crew fighters from all the way by the greats, Tipote and all of that. And these guys fought, and all of a sudden, George Weah, the least educated in our group, became president. That's what he said. So he told me, he said, can you start a show with me? I have an idea. And I said, fine. We put pen to paper, came up with the idea. We pitched it to Dennis Jai. He said, fine, y'all come on. A little over a year after we started the show, he began to have back problems. So I told him, I said, sir, you need to take some time off to go and have yourself checked out. And we're just laughing about it. Little did we know that he had a terminal cancer. Went to the hospital, they told him, I think he had bone marrow cancer. It was like a leukemia. And it had gone to stage 4, young man. So we are paying tribute today, our first anniversary show, month of September. We're paying tribute to Mr. Edward Doe, one of the greatest, smartest men out of Nuclear Town. Went to St. Patrick's High School and graduated top of his class. There was a little controversy there where they said there were 2 kids that graduated from St. Patrick that year, and both of them had an exact GPA. So some say politics, some say whatever it was, but the gentleman was smart. You couldn't deny him. Brilliant. And then finally he got his dream job. He became controller for the city of Richmond, Virginia. 7 months on that job, he took sick. 3 months later, he was dead. So, Mr. Eastman, can you please put a picture up of Mr. Edward Doe? Mr. Edward Doe is one of the best and brightest of the Nuclear Town. Those kids from Nuclear Town are no joke academically. You go to any of the schools in Liberia, they will tell you Nuclear Town is no joke. They got some smart fellows, smart women out of that place. That borough is a haven of brains. When you talk to Anthony C.A., he's also from our borough, Nuclear Town. Mr. Victor Namwe, I don't know if you are familiar with anybody from the borough of Nuclear Town, and you will bear with me that the first thing out of their mouth is academics.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends from the borough. I spent a lot of time there, especially when I was in Tottenham High School. I spent a lot of time in Nuclear Town and Logan Town as well. As a matter of fact, I lived in Logan Town for parts of my elementary years before I moved out. Oh, okay.
This is my brother and friend Edward Doe. Edward Doe was born November 8th, 1959. This is a very brilliant guy. He died December 13th, 2021. In the middle of putting this On Point platform together, doing the research, we went at it, spent hours and hours coming up with the idea, coming up with the format, he was anti-CDC, I was pro-CDC, and that gave birth to this particular platform. And he had a lot of idea what he wanted to do with this. And unfortunately for him, he took sick. And I mean, we were celebrating. He got his dream job. This guy was everything. Smart. He was a mathematician. He was an economist. He was a CPA. He was everything. I mean, like I said, it made right at the top of the class at St. Patrick. So he has to be very, very smart. The Catholic school in Nuclear Town, he graduated from there too. He's at the top of that class from the elementary school all the way. It was unfortunate at the age of 61. We lost this brilliant man. So today I am paying homage and paying respect to him. And I told his wife, at every anniversary, I would love to give him the due respect and the credit that is due him. This was his thinking. This was his idea. And I just took over from there. Mr. Morris.
Yeah. Mr. Gaming, I remember him, I remember him on the platform. Of course, I'm the number one fan of this network, even though I have the privilege of, appearing on it from time to time, but I watch almost all of the shows. And I also want to, echo similar sentiments. I didn't know him personally, of course. I never interacted with him. I don't know if I called on the show when he was, still on the show, but the fact that he had an idea, he had a spark. Intellectuals are always, every good idea starts with a spark. And sometimes if you're not alive to see it to fruition, those who carry that spark and carry that light, we bear that person's, vision. And I think you continue to carry that spark and turn it into a light. And now we're on this platform and we continue to, voice out, our thoughts. So, kudos to him. I'm sure he was a great man. Like you said, he's an academic. And I may his soul rest in peace. But lastly, let me just give props to other people too who was a part of this network and kind of fell by the wayside. Of course, you had George Toole on for a while. You and him was doing the show. We have few people who came and kind of went. What is the guy named Benjamin Fanil Kofa? I think he was kind of a regular here too. He's going to kind of fell by the wayside. I don't know. I don't want to put Mr. Kamara there too soon. Maybe it's premature. But he's been here too with us for a while. Maybe he's taking a break too. So there's a lot of people over the years that's been kind of in and out, and that's contributed to the to the network. But kudos to Mr. Doe for having the idea to build this show, and you yourself, Mr. Gaiman, for continuing that that idea and bringing it to what it is today. I think during our politics season, this is our number one politics show on this platform, and it was really, really thriving during that time. I do have some criticism of the show, and maybe we can talk behind the scene, or maybe we can talk on the show, but maybe we have to revamp it a little bit to get more balanced, so that it don't seem like a CDC leaning show, because everybody seems to think we all see solutions. I support CDC. I don't hide that fact, but I think maybe the host should be a bit more neutral than another solution. So that's my only criticism.
This is what this is all about. We don't hunt people down. You have the right to your opinion. As you can see, when this show started, it started on the premise that we had to have a hardcore sedition and a hardcore hater, somebody who didn't like this.
Opposition.
No. I mean, he didn't hate the man for sure, but he said that was the premise. It has to be. He mentioned, maybe you were young then, but there was a show.
What do you mean? Oh, I was like 2 years ago or so.
No. I'm talking to the reference he made when he talked about Crossfire on CNN.
Okay.
Crossfire on CNN was in the early 90s, mid 90s, where you have a Republican and a Democratic crossfire. That was the format he wanted to use. He says, I will play the devil's advocate. I will be the CDC hater. I will be the contrary to you. And that was it. So it wasn't that he hated the thing, but the idea was that you needed to have these two contrarian ideas, butting heads, to create some functionality, to create that fervor of balance. And that's what I did. This is why we brought on, when he left, I appealed to Tule. Tule came on and he was doing very well at that. And then he got into basically his Uncle Joe tribal sentiment. And when White Guy won, he can't defend White Guy now, he doesn't come. So that's how it is. But yes, my dream has always been for us to have a female. I would rather have a female anytime here, no matter what side of the aisle that she's on. But it's just been difficult for us to have a female come on fully. Mr. Tower, your take?
Yes. As for me, I watched the show for a while now. Like as Mr. Morris just said, I think like around 2017, 2018, I started following the show, and and I think that overall the show is actually good. And the host need to be as balanced as possible, but what we call balance also is relative, right? So because the host can also push the direction of the debate or the discussion, and that is why we are there as panelists and other people, so then you can see at that and then you can rebuttal, you can come from a different perspective. So for me, people who, when CDC was in power, when we spoke against things that CDC did, they branded the show as anti-government. Boyka is in power, and we are still the same people. And what we are just pointing out is the wrong or the missteps that the government is having. Now we are considered hitting the government. So if hitting government is what it is, then I'm for it. If what they're doing, whether it's on a CDC or on a Boyka, if it's wrong to the Liberian people.
Mr. Eastman, take us out. Tribute to Mr. Doe and his idea.
Every once in a while, you find a great mind come by and introduce an idea to the public. And their idea takes seed and grows and becomes a tree, and then eventually a garden, and then maybe even a forest. So we can't take lightly our dreams, our ideas, our thoughts, because if we give these ideas, these dreams, these thoughts the right nurture, it will evolve into something completely, beneficial to many. So this is the brainchild of Edward Doe that has now blossomed into a weekly panel hosting several different talk shows. We have Focus on Liberia, that we have On Point, we have Marketplace, and we have several different shows. And we still offer Liberians a difference, of opinion on issues. And we, like I said, we always try to be in the middle of the road. We talk so. But at the end of the day, our true aim is to illuminate the issues, to provide some clarity, to provide more information. And so that the Liberians don't have to hear, praise singers all the time. They can also hear people who are critically evaluating the issues and providing a contrary sometimes, but different opinion than simply going with the flow. It is important in today that we have this balance. And if some take it personally, I'm afraid, and I would like to also mention there have been many of our panelists who have been accepted in leadership roles in Liberia. They've come here, they made their point clear, and eventually they were appointed in leadership roles in back home. So that is how important our platform has been and will continue to be. We will provide, um, our opinions, our views as balanced as we can, and let the chips fall where they may. But this is just the beginning. We hope to see this thing turn into a whole TV broadcast in LIB and on the radio. And as we work on these things, we will continue bringing you fresh news and ideas straight from the nation's capital.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are paying tribute. Our first quarter or half, we're paying tribute to one of our best minds, one of the founders. And this is what this station is all about. This is family here. If I was to fall today, I am sure Focus on Liberia would pay me the same respect. It happens that's what we're supposed to do. We are our brothers keepers. We have to recognize each other for who we are and our contribution to society. It is not all about competition in a negative sense. This young man was brilliant, and it is a major loss to Liberia. So, Mr. Doe, rest in peace, wherever you are. I know you're looking down. Your idea is still going. Like I always told the folks, when I was in New Jersey, everybody would go listen to Jerry Springer. Jerry Springer will have 10 million views. And then you go to NPR, NPR had 200 views. But when they leave Jerry Springer and they wanted something factual, they go to NPR. If they wanted entertainment, gossip, sleazy, who the father, you are not the father, the DNA came by, you are the father, all that stuff. It's an escape. So they go to Jerry Springer. But they wanted something serious, they came to NPR. Same thing here. You can go to your Spoon network, you can go to the other network and see people cursing mom and doing all that. So that's fine. But when you need information that is valuable, you come here. Somebody on this platform will correct you, give you the right information. Even if we are wrong in the comment section, they will put us in our spot. And nobody will block them. Nobody will say anything. So, Mr. Doe, rest well. I promise I was going to call your wife and check on her. Maybe in an hour or so, I will do so. She have moved to North Dakota. Beautiful. Mr.
Gavin, let me just say one thing. I'm sure if Mr. Ja went out and stole $114 million, he will have the biggest platform in Liberia too. It will be all over the country.
Of course.
Or he built it from the grassroots and he spent his own money in a little donation and people chipping. So we don't worry about who got the biggest platform, especially if it was gotten by illegal means. So it's not even a competition.
And our CEO has never been indicted. He never stole. He's a straightforward guy. He made his living, like we used to say in New Jersey, way by New York, E.F. Hutton. So we make money the old-fashioned way, we earn it. That's what we are doing here. Mr. Eastman, can you move the picture, please? And please put up, let me do a quick something here. Advertising. Can you put up the picture for Mr. Dennis Ja in his African regalia?
Yeah.
While he's doing that, I'm going to ask you guys in the private chat section, please vote for 3 of your best fans that have been our ardent supporter or followers on this platform. And in the middle of the show, we are going to give a little token of appreciation. I know somebody will be going to Dunkin' Donuts.
Don't vote for Sam. Don't vote for Promo Livingston. You don't get out donut money.
We got $25. You can go to Dunkin' Donuts. You can go to Subway. We got Starbucks. So, guys, in the private section, please vote. I know who I voted for. Let's go. We pick the top 3. And then next Sunday, we'll pick another top 3. And the next Sunday, we'll pick another top 3. That's how we're going to do it. And next Sunday, we're going to have this young man here by the name of Dennis Ja. I don't know whether this is the photo he was approved, but this is what I paid for him. All his photos. we are going to be grilling this young man to actually get to know who he is. How did he get here? How did he come up with the idea to have a show or television or platform of this magnitude? Why did it take him to do so? Where the drain came from? How did he get to the United States? Those of you, someone told me he's a product of a few of the several refugee camps. I don't know. Those of you who are in a refugee camp, you can be proud of this young man for what he has done with his life, what he's doing. So we get to know him a little bit. All along, I thought he was from Maryland County because he gribbled. I was just corrected that he's from Sino. So you see, I thought I knew him, but I didn't. So we find out his family and all that stuff. Great work he has done. And we all can help to do that. So next Sunday, 4 o'clock, the interview will start with Mr. Jah. Thank you very much. Let's go from here.
I already put my own vote in the chat, so I already put that one in there.
Okay. Mr. Eastman, can you put the next one with Anthony Kumakwa, please? Gentlemen, go and vote your vote so we can give out some of these things. So we can put 25 pounds on somebody, go to Dunkin' Donuts, eat $25 worth of donuts. You can go to Starbucks if you are a bourgeois, you can go to Starbucks. Or you can go to Subway like me. The third interview here will be Mr. Anthony Kumakwa. Mr. Kumakwa served in government in Liberia. He was just involved in the elections in Liberia. There was a lot that went on in his hometown between his client and the Johnson Kumakwa team, and somebody almost lost their life over there. He also served in the Ellen Johnson government, and most recently he served, I think, as assistant or deputy minister in the WIA government. He's going to be here on our 3rd anniversary week. It's considered no hold bar. We will ask him, he said we can ask him any question, no problem. He's willing to answer. Young man, very smart. We are glad to have him here representing the name that he carries. And they say he's a very standout young man, those who interacted with him. So we'll be having Anthony Kumakwa on the 3rd week. And then our final show, we'll pick somebody randomly here to profile. But this week is going to be fun. Every week we want to get something in appreciation. So guys, continue to vote. Okay, Mr. Eastman, can you take it down, please? Great. This other man they call Anthony Gay. Anthony Gay will be a computer analyst, computer tech, computer genius. He always upside down. Look at him.
My man, come on, man.
Your technical man coming here, he come upside down and all that stuff. But Jimmy, let's go to a current event in our country.
I don't have a trap I think of a computer analyst.
And what you say?
He's a network analyst, not a computer analyst.
There you go.
And you get bad network?
Hey man, I said we find an optic cable in the ocean in Liberia. I'm gonna bring it with you now, brother.
You know, brother, optic cable every day they come with the new thing. Okay, guys.
But Joe Biden get that $8 million for like, bro. Just need the president to collect it for 5.
Guys, please share the show, get involved. Let's go to Mr. Eastman.
Yeah.
We got tons of things. I mean, this administration can't start giving. We just heard that the president fell on his trip to Indonesia and all of that. We are praying that everything is okay.
Really?
Yeah, the administration.
Are you joking? Or are you serious?
Yes, seriously. The administration is going into a frenzy, trying to debunk it is a lie and showing tons of pictures and all that other stuff. That's fine. We wish the old man well. But let's look at some of the things that are happening in the country. We are talking about those of us that grew up in the 80s. We always heard, oh, cool, attempted coup, that news are cool. Now we're hearing the same thing. It looks like they are taking the page out of the military book here. We find out that when any of those people wanted to get rid of people they didn't like, They came up with the idea that somebody plenty cool, and we hear it again that their rumors are cool. The chief of police and the joint security came out. They issued a letter suspending, revoking everybody in Liberia who had an armed permit, people who legally obtained gun permit. They revoked them and telling the folks to turn in their weapons, their personal weapons. This is unheard of. So now some people are seeing this as a pretext to go because they know who applied for weapons, they know where they are, they know who they are. Now they are coming for you. So we are seeing this. We also saw the Liberia judicial system is under another microscope, where Mrs. Scott was found guilty of murder. When this administration was in opposition, they protested. They supported this woman. They said they shouldn't charge her. When the election was over, this administration went to the prison compound to apologize on behalf of the WEA government that WEA did her wrong. They moved all the prosecutors, they brought their own prosecutors in, went to the Supreme Court, and basically kept what it did is somersaulted to the point where the Solicitor General, the chief prosecutor, never showed up, and he was fined $100 for not showing up at the Supreme Court. So the case was thrown out. So the judicial system is now under serious microscope. How does investors come to a country that does not respect the rule of law? We also want to talk about whether it is practical or tactical or political. The former Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, Mr. McGill, withdrew his petition to the Supreme Court for prohibition. Is it political? Is it tactical? Why is this happening? Mr. Eastman, let's start with the gun issue here. What is going on here with the...
Jimmy, do we know we are live on Facebook? I'm trying to share the show, but I can't find the link.
Yeah, it says here.
Gotta be live on
look
Facebook.
In the chat if you will see the link there.
Okay.
Look in the chat.
Okay, got you.
Okay, so just for the audience who might have been too young to know what Liberia passed through after 1980, after the successful coup d'etat that killed President Talbot, there was a series of episodes alleging that other people tried to overthrow the Dole's government. The first one was in 1981, exactly 1 year after the April 12th coup, where Thomas Wesson, who was the second in command, was accused of overthrowing the government. Nelson Stoll was one of those in the accused. There were some about a few of them, and that were executed by the military junta at the time. And we saw several of these sort of things. We saw the Flank Zamindon fiasco. We saw the Thomas Kuwongpa disaster. We saw several of these things during those years. And politics was not what it is today. You are not free to talk politics. If you do talk politics, the popular saying is you will not live to tell the story. So today we are experiencing a freedom of of our political franchise like never before. You can run for president, you can run for any office, and you can express your opinion without fear of retribution from the authorities. But so all this came at a cost. Many, many, many people have died over the years for this to come about. And today, even though we're seeing, this benefit to us, there are still echoes of the same thing. Now we're hearing how true this is. Is it just rumor mongering? We're hearing about attempting or wanted to be overthrow. We hope to God we don't return to those days that every day we wake up somebody else is being coming up for trial for sedition or for whatever political agitation at the time. So we pray that we don't go back to those. Now, as for the other issue we were talking about, which what did you say, the trial? Is that
Yes.
was that the trial?
Yes.
I think we're going just one topic at a time,
Yeah.
right? Instead of
Yes.
attacking all of them.
Yes. Let's do
You
the
mentioned
coup.
two, so that's why I want to address two. Okay.
Let's do the coup. Let's do the
So
coup first.
if we stay with it, we don't ever want to return to because nobody is safe. We will used to get up in the morning and there will be beheaded men beheaded in the street. Some of y'all are too young to know these things that only maybe Victor, he knows the kind of things we pass through. We pass through all kinds of peril. In the morning, you just see people with no head on their shoulder, no answers. They used to have what they call a death squad. They used to go around, and if they come to your house that night, they will not see you again. After the failed coup of Thomas Kuompa, several people got missing. No accountability. Of all of them. People started especially the people from Nima. All of them lost their jobs in the government. They were all replaced. Positions called redundant from LEC, from the government. All of them lost their jobs. These were the days we passed through, and everybody, we need to pray that those days do not come back, because there was no freedom. We all have our differences, and we're supposed to celebrate our differences, and not be threatened by each other. So when we hear this thing again, we just hope it's only pure rumor, that none of it is true, because all of us will have to go back into hiding, into fear, being fearful of your life, and we'll not be able to exercise the political freedom we have today.
Thank you. 1 minute, guys. Mrs. Doe is calling. Let me put her on for 1 minute. Hello, Mrs. Doe.
We can't hear.
You muted, Mr. Gamer, you muted, unmute.
Mrs. Doe, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
How are you doing? How's the baby? And how's life?
We're grateful, and she's doing fine by the grace of God. We thank God for life, peace, and strength.
I have with me several of our friends. We're celebrating the life of Mr. Doe in our first section. Some may want to just say, hello, and what are you doing now, and how's life been with you? And tell us a little bit of your life since the abrupt passing of your husband.
First of all, my name is Marian Something Doe. The late Echo widowed, and since my husband passed, before he passed, we're in Richmond, Virginia, And after the funeral, my daughter and I relocated to North Dakota, Iowa, precise, North Dakota. And we thank God for giving us peace and strength during the whole bereavement, and we are doing good by His grace. We got some families and friends here that we made here, so we are fine. And with the other kids as well, everybody doing great. Yeah. And the twins graduated from high school this past June, and now they're in college. So we thank God. And the grandkids are doing good too. And the two older boys are doing great as well.
Great. Gentlemen, any question, any feelings?
Yeah, I mean, I would just want to tell her that, the idea that her husband had, we'll continue to carry it, and we're using this day to honor his memory. So we want to appreciate him on this day.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Ms. Doe, now we're here. So I want to join Jerome and the office and the rest of the team just to say thank you for giving of your husband, allowing him to put in time and set up what we're all making use of today for the benefit of all of us in Liberia and, of course, the rest of the world. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
This is Anthony here. I just want to say keep the courage, and thank you for sharing your husband with us, for the opportunity and his idea. You permitted him to do such thing, and we are also carrying on that legacy.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Mrs. Doe, this is Jimmy Eastman. They say behind every great man there's a woman, there's a strong woman, and we like to give you your props as you alive now. And we want to also invite you. We know that many of those ideas that Edward Doe might have been inspired by you. So we want to open an invitation for you to come and voice your opinion and your ideas on the show one day. We're looking to have that female input on our show for a nice blend. So we extend that invitation to you at any time. We know you are quite capable to play that role. And in the meantime, we wish you the best, and all your children. We wish God be behind them and that they follow in their father's footsteps.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Jimmy. And I would like to say, my late husband, he liked politics, so that's something he was passionate about. So for me, I would decline that offer because I'm not. Yes, I will. That's his thing, and so I allow him to do it. Yeah, but for me, I'm not into such area, so I would decline that offer. But I appreciate the offer anyway. So yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, but don't forget now, we don't only talk politics. Sometimes it's pressing issues. Like right now, we're talking about the rights of women. We're talking about female productivity in the country, female education. All those other issues are very pertinent issues as well.
Yeah, like any field that she's in that she needs to bring awareness to, I'm sure Mr. Jai and the management team here will be open to amplify her voice by giving her this platform, as a medium. So I think, the door is open anytime she wants to, amplify any cause that she's fighting for. I think that's the main point.
Yes, I appreciate the offer. As I said, I will look into it and I will get back to Mr. Gilman. But I said I will look into it. Thank you so much, you guys, and thank you for remembering my late husband. And unfortunately, he died, but I thank God that I still, remember him as a friend and as a colleague, and I appreciate that. I'm very grateful. Yes, I am.
Thank you. Mr. Tao?
Yes, Mrs. Doe, this is Mr. Joseph Tao For me, I listened to you. I didn't know your husband uh, personally because I was not on the platform, but we are really grateful for the idea that he started. But as for me, I'm just grateful that you have been able to find the strength to guide
Amen.
your kids and to raise them and to get them this far. And I hope
Amen.
and wish that you maintain the same strength to see your
Amen.
kids through and your grandkids.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Great. Any parting words before you leave?
And as I said, thank you again for inviting me over, and I do really appreciate that because it's hard when such thing happen. Everybody can just forget about the person, but I'm grateful, as I said, I just still remember him, and I hope this will not be the last call. This will not be the last time, inviting me over to honor his memory, and I really do. And me, the kids are grateful. And thank you guys for all the prayers and the well wishes that you sent through our way during our times of try and difficulty. So thank you again, and I really do from the bottom of my heart. I said thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you very much, and I will stay in touch.
Okay.
God bless.
Okay. Okay. Bye-bye.
Great. That was Mrs. Doe, a very young lady, brilliant. You listen to her, she herself, very brilliant, well accomplished woman. We are definitely going to pick her mind and find out what is it that she has passion about. Everybody has some passion. If it's not politics, it's human right, it's women's right, children's right, anything. We have to collectively deal with the issues of our country, and it is not partisanship. It is not a CDC thing. It is not a unity party thing. Our suffering and our failure is a collective. It's beyond George Weah. It's beyond Joseph Boyka. It goes all the way back. And until we can collect, like Mr. Eastman used to say, we have to bring our collective strength, our collective guilt, our collective fixes. You can criticize, but at least bring something to the table to correct some of those things like Mr. Elvis has just done. He believed that we have to bend backward without breaking to bring other folks uh, who are true to maybe the Unity Party cause. If they want to come out, I know it's difficult to come out here and defend something that is indefensible, but that's what we did sometimes here for 6 years. You have to believe in something. You got to be a true believer. So, Mr. Eastman, I want you to end on the fact that we are hearing and seeing things that are giving us some flashbacks. I mean, it is not they say, it is in writing. I got a letter from the police. Everybody read that letter on social media. It was in the press conference. That now they are
I want you to read that letter or put it right.
Yeah, did it mention anything
Let's
about
put
coup,
the
or you
letter up.
just implying that that's what they're fearing?
No,
Let's,
I told
let's
you.
put the letter up so we can read it.
Yes, I spoke to the security folks, and right after we spoke, this letter came out. I'm going to find the letter. While we're discussing it, Mr. Namwe, I think you and I may have been in that area at the time when this happened. We were of age, the coup and the 80s, when I think West San had come from Grand Bassa County. There was a football game they went to, and they were on their way back to Monrovia, and then there was this public service announcement that they were wanted. And the rest is history, Mr. Nambi.
No, absolutely. Yes, the inception of the PRC, People's Redemption Council, April 12th, 1980, they introduced pretty much the concept of coups, and then, of course, throughout the duration of the PRC government, there were allegations of coups and counterclaims of coups. I mean, just like you said, Thomas Wesson was the vice head of state. He was accused and famously tried. And of course, in his life, J. Nicholas Podia, he was the speaker of the PRC. He was also accused. And then we all remember the famous Nibari Kalongo Luo and the rest of them, DK Wansili, all these guys. Kwiwonkpa, of course, Thomas Kwiwonkpa. You just show Prince. I'm not sure if that's his son, but
Yes.
Thomas Kwiwonkpa, 1985. So the thing about the coups and the counterclaims of coups is you can never really get the facts of the allegations, how true the assertions or the allegations are. We know that most military governments use the allegations or the purported claims of the coup attempt simply to curry favor with the population and kind of, create sympathy. Usually, when they know they're falling out of favor with the populace, and so they will, and so it was very difficult to tell the facts from the allegations, as Fagon would say, facts from the fiction. But yes, the coups, they are very, 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 very scary instrument that the military junta usually uses to scare people into submission. It's an excuse they use to go all out and to try to impose their way, if you will, because usually these announcements are accompanied with suspension of the normal governance structures as we know it. There are times that a state of emergency is imposed. Normal functions are interfered with. Sometimes curfew are imposed. There is a whole dragnet usually that accompanies this kind of pronouncement, and of course, eventually, they use it as a pretext to arrest and remove any semblance of opposition to their misrule. So, I hope this is not it's not true. I haven't seen the letter, so I really don't know the contents of the letter. I don't know the facts contained in the letter. But a lot of us had hoped that we had graduated from the militarization of politics in Liberia, because those were the dark days and those were very, very scary days. There was a lot of intimidation, and really it was a pretext to go all out and silence genuine opposition. Samuel Doe used that a lot to imprison both real and perceived opponents, including students as well. There were lots of killings that accompanied these kinds of pronouncements. So we really hope this is not true. We'll let the facts come out.
Great. Mr. Tao, the police is saying they want everybody to turn in their guns. If the concern that people have is, who these people are. These people legally came to your office and applied for permit. You give them their permit. It is their gun, it's their personal property, but you're telling them that you give them time to surrender those guns. So many people are saying this is a pretext. I own my gun. If you say I can't use it in public because I don't have the permit, why? It's my personal property. Why are you going to come and take it from me, Mr. Tao?
Okay. So in the first place, I want to go back just a little bit. When we are talking about not being able to speak freely, it didn't start with just the PRC government. Let us clarify some of these things, because we always get this stuff that once the PRC came in, then rights were suspended. And no. Rights, the suspension of rights and the exclusion of people to be able to actually speak started on the TWP. Where did this stuff came from in Liberia? Leave the people thing alone. How did that come about? It was under the TWP. If you spoke and you did something I remember I was very young, and my uncle was holding my hands in what a red light. And it was later that I found out it was A. Benedict Tolbert beat somebody, put them on the hood of the car, beat them with a belt, with police standing there, making sure that that beating took place because he overtook his vehicle. A. Benedict Tolbert, A.B. Tolbert, the president's son, the possible person that was going to succeed the president if their plan had gone through. So let us put this into the proper perspective. And we're not disputing. So yes, so abuse of rights and taking away of people ability for them to function in society freely, that's what led to the coup. Now, if we establish that, then the coup guys came in, and what did they start to do? They violated more rights, right? Now, if we put these 2 points into perspective, my concern here really is not that there was some rumor of coup, but we're going back to history. Then we're supposed to say the democratic government have been coming to power. What led to the coup? When the government doesn't work for everybody. When you take the entire system for granted and few people think they can push everybody down and profit and plunder. So my concern is not there is a rumor of coup. My thing here is that look at the history. If you guys cannot straighten this stuff out, you're supposed to be the democracy that's supposed to come and bring prosperity. Like Mr. Gibman said here, if the guy is handling the bride, that bride story, right? Then you start looking somewhere else. So let them take this seriously. But this idea that they think somebody run for, oh, there is coup coming, so no, let's just take in the democracy. That is not the point. A democracy that cannot deliver for the people must actually be replaced, or it must be nullified. I'm not calling for a coup. I'm just making a point based on the 2 points I've made. What led to our first coup, and then what led to that war that removed that government that brought the coup. So we are on the same trajectory here. So what it was on Ellen, if this government keeps failing, then people have to look for alternative. What are we going to do? Democracy is not just about having election every 4 years or every 8 years. It's about results. So if the results are not coming, if you have all these crooks like Edwin Snow and Prince Johnson, everybody that hijacked the system and sat there, the dealing and all these people paying themselves 30, 40,000 hijack about 25% of the country's budget. If they can't do something for them to mitigate those things and correct it, so that they can free up the country resources where the country benefit. Yes, these are possibilities. Let us be realistic here.
Mr. Tao, you've
so
been very...
it's not about whether there is coup, but there is two.
Let me quickly.
Yeah, Mr. Tao, are you being very generous?
No, I wanted to make it look.
It's not 25% of the country budget. It's 95% they took.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Mr. Tao,
yeah, Mr. Tao will land. So Mr. Namwe can comment.
Yeah. So this is what I'm seeing here from this stuff. Whether the rumor is true or there is some semblance of truth to it. This is what we want this government and the elected people to see. That stop trying to take the country for granted. Stop trying to plunder the country. Run this government so it can work for the interests of everybody. Because in a place where everybody feel that they have a stake and they're benefiting and they can afford to eat, they look that there is a possibility of a future. Nobody wants to disturb that. Nobody's going to be fooled to be recruited to disrupt that. Let them know this. But if they just feel they don't care, then these are possibilities. Because it's all around us. It's in Guinea, it's in Burkina Faso, it's in Mali, it's in Niger, and Liberia is not an exception. There is nothing that said that because we had coup in 1980, so we can't have it again.
Thank you.
You got it. Let me come in, Mr. Gilman.
I just wanted to quickly.
Go for bit. Yeah, Mr. Namwe.
Yes, Mr. Tao, you're quite correct. I believe the answer we were addressing was the introduction of the concept of coups into our body politics. Yes, there was an incident with Detroit and Tottenham, but we were discussing when the militarization of politics was introduced, because we're discussing the communication, which I think seems to be addressing the attempted coup. But yes, before the coup, there was a systematic, and Gonglo here will bear me out because I think he's aware of it. Yes, actually, it's because of the systematic violation of the rights of the native people that a coup actually came into being. So yes, there were rights, there were denial of our rights by the 5% American Liberians. It is because of that that a coup was introduced. But yes, we were talking about when was the concept introduced. I believe that's what we were saying. I just wanted to correct that. Thank you.
All right. Look, Mr. Gaiman, let me say this. I know Mr. Gonglo has joined the show. Welcome, Mr. Gonglo. I know you're a proponent of a military takeover. I disagree with that idea, but let me state my position here. Coups are sometimes necessary in extreme situations where the government is oppressing its people. There are deaths, like people were saying on the door, and people being killed and disappeared. But I don't think the government, performance so far has risen to the level where a coup might be necessary. And I think it's telling that they are afraid that there might be a coup. Whenever there are talks of a coup, it means something is going wrong. And mostly it has to do with the rights of the citizens. When they feel like their rights are being trampled upon and there's tension in the country, then these talks of coup starts to come into play. During President Weah's presidency, for the most part of his presidency, there was really never talks about coup. The only time it kind of came up briefly was when he took that trip to go to the World Cup and was kind of absent, and people were saying that the chief of staff of the army should take over, and. But I think overall his presidency was pretty peaceful. I think people felt there was some economic hardship in the country. The drug was kind of going rampant, but it was never really a sense that the rights of the citizens were being trampled upon. We could talk, people could cuss, and I'm not saying it was a good thing, but people were cussing the president and saying all kinds of things and being very open-minded, and and how they voiced their opinion about the president and how he governed. So I don't think that was a similar situation then. Whereas with President Boyka, my understanding is that they have changed the gun rule, the arm, people who own arms, they changed the rule.
Yeah,
I
small
don't know if it
arms.
went through, yeah, small arms. I don't know if it went through the legislature, but they just changed it, and now they want people to comply with it. And one of the things I always wonder in Liberia is why aren't the citizens allowed to have arms to protect themselves from armed robbers and people who will be burglars who will come into their homes at night? Have a permit, pass a law where people can have arms in their homes, and they can only use that arm if they're in their home and it's an intruder. They can't carry out or brandish it like we have in the United States, but it's definitely necessary. And I think this is one of the biggest fear of the government, from successive government, that if a lot of people have arms in the country, small arms like pistols, if something goes up, everybody will have arms to fight, and this could be something that will go against the government. But I think they have to pass a law, if they haven't already, to allow people to have, small arms to protect their homes exclusively and nothing else, just their homes. But in the grand scheme of things, when we look at this whole coup talk, I keep going back to this guy, even though they say Christian man can be right maybe twice a day, like the broken clock. Yeka Kolubai predicted something similar. Maybe about a month ago, he said that Joseph Boyka is about to leave the country for an extended period of time, and there's going to be something like a coup. And these guys, the Gregory Coleman, these same names that he implicated in that statement, these are the same people that's on the scene now. So I'm not sure what's really going on, but I don't think there should be anything like a coup in that country. Because, like the great people of Lofa, you are the face of this government now. And that's the thing about Liberia. That's why it's always important to watch our rhetorics and what we say about ethnic groups. Because not everybody in Lofa supported this government, of course not. There are many Lofians who support the CDC, many of them who are in leadership roles within the CDC. But this idea that they are the one that's dominating this government, if anything happened, they will be targeted. God forbid, and I say God forbid double time, if there is a coup, and let's say a man from Bon County is the quote unquote leader of this coup, now the perception becomes it's a thing against the people from Bon and the people from Lofa, and that will bring another tribal sentiment. Or let's say God forbid is a man from Grand Cru who headed the coup. Now it becomes the people from Grand Cru is against the people of Lofa. That's going to spark ethnic tension. So it's a cascading effect whenever there's a coup. It may be a quote unquote peaceful coup, but the sentiments after the coup will linger far longer than the aftermath of that coup. So people need to be mindful, especially government. You have the full responsibility to bring peace within the country, to bring harmony and bring security. I think these guys think that if they take all the guns, if they take all the weapons and they neutralize all the threats that they perceive, there will be no coup or there will be no violence. You can never stop it if it's going to happen. Don't allow that to be something that you think you can quash a coup by arresting people or taking guns off the street. The most, hardened dictators has been taken out of power. The likes of Gaddafi, the likes of Saddam Hussein, they've been taken out of power. So you can't think you can take all the guns, and if you continue to oppress the people, even though I don't think it's risen to that level, but maybe it would give them that lead with the thing. Well, there's no threat. We can impose our will on the people, and nothing can happen because we neutralize everybody. Govern well, bring economic prosperity. Give people the freedom to express themselves, and you would not have to worry about a possibility of a coup. But when you start to become lawless and you start to become oppressive, then your biggest fear might just come through. That's my take on it, Mr. Gamer.
Mr. Dimon, if you allow me to come in quickly, I want to agree with Mr. Tauho and Mr. Nangbe. But there's something what we've learned to do in science, business, we call it root cause analysis. Now, I agree that there was a marginalization of the native people at some time in our history. That is not the root cause, it's the symptom. The root cause is a selfishness of anybody to marginalize anybody else for any reason. This is part of human nature. So it can happen again if we don't identify that it was not one instance that this can happen. This can happen repeatedly if we go back to taking advantage of another, using the government to enriching themselves, making one people, neglecting one people's rights and their needs and stuff. All these things will give rise to the same situation. And because this is part of human nature, we all have to guard against this. And so when we're already being here, I'm hopeful this is just rumors. But when we look at the situation we find ourselves, where our legislature is supposed to represent us, and we do not see that representation, we do not see them advocating for our interests. Instead, they look like they are on their own enrichment. When we look at the courts and they're supposed to execute justice, and we notice that they are not executing justice, there seems to be a bias or a cloud, or the Justice Department is not adequately going and prosecuting cases. When the people feel there's no hope that the institutions they've created or the existing institutions are not fair and just, that's when it leads to this frustration, and that's when people start taking to the streets. Good. So we need to guard against these things. That the selfishness that causes these things, the initial cause is a selfishness, is rooted in a selfishness and a disregard for your fellow man. When we spot that, we need to cite it out, and not because it's one of our relatives, is one of our people from our community doing it. Nobody we should allow doing it because it has that effect of eventually hurting everybody. Just what Mr. was saying about guns. There was a time people were able to get permits for guns, but since 1980, guns were not allowed. You couldn't even shoot firecracker. You're not even allowed to shoot firecracker since 1980.
And that's still not allowed, Jimmy. You're very right. That's why we don't have firecrackers in Liberia.
So that is what happened. But it goes down to the selfishness we exhibit, the disregard for the office of which you hold and the oath you swore to. We see a repetition of the same similar things. The only thing is a different person. So all of us need to call this out before it gets to a point that people feel hopeless. And then when they feel hopeless, they can be manipulated because not everybody was ready. I don't think it was ready for what happened in 1980. For instance, I think people were ready to for the next election. I think it was going to be an amazing election. We're going to see democracy in full force. They couldn't stop it. That's what was coming, but it was cut off. And because I guess there was also other things involved, socialism was on the rise, and the people were afraid that Liberia may have fallen to Marxism, which was very popular at the time. I'm not sure what all the powers would be what they thought, but the whole idea stemmed from we're not treating people fairly, we're not abiding by the rules and laws that we created, and we are trying to modernize the people, and that's what we have to always guard against, no matter who's in the mansion.
Great, Mr. Gongro. Before I come to you, there's this major debate that is going on between groups of people in Liberia, and it goes to the gentleman that was appointed at the LTA. What is his name? Pade? That's his name, Pade? The guy who is now at the LTA.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Conga or
no? Patrick Hanna.
Yeah,
Patrick Hanna was an advocate of the salary harmonization, and he says, George, we didn't even do much. It should cut even further. And George Weah says, we have cut 50%, we can't cut any more. And they said, so when he took over LTA, when he took over the wherever he is, somebody from in that agency leaked out his arranged salary, his package, and read thus: monthly salary and benefits, salary base $7,861, transportation $1,500, housing. He lived in his own house, but he's getting housing allowance, $1,500, $1,200. Generator gas, $3,622. Operation gas, I don't know where wanted that. Operation gas, 200.
Are those all in US dollars or some are in Liberian dollars?
This is all
USD.
This is all USD.
No
Operational gas, 200 gallon, $966. Scratch card. You get $300 for scratch card for a total of $7,444.
Okay, all right.
$15,449 monthly salary. So
no, Mr. Gary, I don't believe that. No way. I honestly don't believe it.
Listen, we got this from a very reliable source, somebody who worked there, and a journalist, Alexander Biede, he have verified.
He will be making the same as senators in that country a month. I don't think that's true. It might not be accurate.
True. It's right here.
Folks, look at
look it up. $15,449 a month. And
what is his position again? What is his actual position?
The director of postal telecommunication, I believe.
Really?
Elvis.
I can't fathom it, Mr. Gonga. I mean, it's unfathomable. I mean, $15,000 for that position a month? No way.
He's just a commissioner.
I don't
He's
know
not-
why.
he's just a
Mr. Gonglo,
commissioner.
go
Yeah,
ahead.
he's a commissioner. I'm sorry, that's a position. He's a commissioner. Yep.
Go ahead,
Elvis,
Mr.
But listen to this,
Gonglo.
Elvis. During the CDC time,
Mr. Gonglo got the floor. Go ahead, Mr. Gonglo.
they said it was 21,000 during the CDC time per month.
Not
I don't
because
think so.
Elvis does not believe it doesn't mean it has not happened. Okay, so I think it's not fair to look, Mr. Gilman and guys. Let me firstly apologize for joining the show late. I actually placed a text in the chat room yesterday. I was going to join the show today to talk on my argument. And when I joined, Mr. Nambo was talking about other issues on the military, restriction of rights, free speech. But I like the fact that Mr. Tao, provided an effective counter argument to that. And I quite agree with Mr. Tao's argument 100% to counter that false narrative. Because even silencing of free speech is happening right here on democracy. So you can't even use the situation of the military. I think if you compare the military was in a different era. The military was in an era where there was no social media. Today we have social media. So people have different forms, different platforms to express themselves. To the extent that even this government is trying to even monitor social media is very sad. That is even beyond what the military could do, So, but that's a separate argument. Let me just respond to your argument, your question first before I make my contribution. The thing about the salary thing is, I will put it this way. In Liberia, those who are professional politicians or so-called party activists, they only talk on what they believe can give them power. That's all. Like, I was talking to a friend who is a Unity Party person, by the way, and I was just telling the person how much I know about Jefferson Koji and how I think that he was framed wrongly. He was labeled with all kinds of powerful propaganda on things that I don't believe he has done, and he's suffering it. And the person said, "Oh, I don't believe that you're an educated person. You defend Jefferson Koji." The person thought I was really maybe a beneficiary to what alleged crime of Jefferson Koji. But that is how Liberia is. What is happening at LTA, I'm not going to call a name. I know a former commissioner, and that former commissioner and I used to play tennis together. In fact, that commissioner was vice president for administration for the Liberia Tennis Federation, and I was vice president for operation. So, and that commissioner explained to me and said, "Gonglo, the only place in Liberian government that you don't have to know anything, you don't have to do anything, but you just sign for check, you just get money." He said at LTA. He said we'll get free call for all the GSM company. We'll travel anywhere in the world. We communicate freely at their expense. They give us money. They give us gasoline. We can even we can run gas station with it. I mean, the person went on explaining everything to me. So when we came to power, that person was, because part of the people were removed during Ellen Johnson's time when she wanted to carry a new group of eaters there, And the person, I'm trying to get back to that place. Because the only place you can make free money. You don't have to work. You don't have to know anything. Because majority of the commissioners they put there, they don't have communication background. They don't know anything about what they're doing. They just
Exactly. Exactly.
Padre Honor studied criminal justice. He's not even a professional journalist. He didn't study mass communication. He studied criminal justice at Zion. So, but he's there as a commissioner today. He's not there to make money, to sign for check, and wear nice clothes, go somewhere and offer people and say, "Oh, commissioner is here." We Liberians love to elevate people, give them titles. That's all he's there to do. And of course, steal some and go to Boaga children and other people. Okay? That's his job. That's his job description, nothing else. And that's how the country has been run. This is why those of us who believe that we are not feeding the dividends of democracy. And we can go by and look at the economic history of other countries. And I've made my case that Murtala Mohammed of Nigeria, he was a military leader. Today, Lagos Airport is named in his honor. And these military giants, they led our country during the Cold War. It was in different global regime. Today, we are in a different global era. Okay, there's no Cold War. We don't have that. We have the social media. So it's a different. So if you look around, military leaders who are emerging on the continent, their approach to power is far different from the approach of those who came before them in the Cold
War. So are you calling for military leadership now, Mr. Gongo?
I think I've been very clear on that.
However, you're the one who just said coups are necessary at times. Didn't you say that too?
No, in extreme situations. That's what I said. Let you say you're calling for military leadership.
What do you define as a extreme situation?
Yeah, when people are being killed in the street, when the rights are being oppressed, when they can't talk freely, they can't move freely. I don't think that's happening in Liberia at this current moment.
No. So
compared to Dottown, how Dottown was.
Let me say this. You see, there are things that we overlook in our country. Look today, all major political parties have militant wings. And it's true. They all carry berets. They wear berets of some sort. They wear t-shirt or some sort, khaki. And it's militarization of our politics. And people don't see that. If you're getting young people to get military, you're giving a slogan, you're giving, and they're singing songs that show they're going to harm their opponent, they're going to do that. We are militarizing our politics already. And that process we're in a different era. That was not happening in the 70s and the 80s. They had underground movement here and there. Langbe then we'll talk about it. They have different forms. They were written press releases. They would do this. I had to go to the editor. They were not even going to local. There were no local radio station. They were just maybe ERBC, ERW, and
the closest we came to social media club was React.
That
was it.
But Mr. Bongo, tell us now, if you call it for military rule, we want to know if you're going to go seize your farming in Liberia.
I'm going to answer you. So it was a different era, and we're in a different era. I think we need to focus on that. We are in an era where we ourselves, voluntarily, we are militarizing our young people as our militant wings for the various political parties. Wearing berets, wearing t-shirt that will label them, all of them doing that. But let's watch this. What were the conditions that necessitated the coup or the civil war? The conditions are right today. The very conditions. And probably I would say multiply. There's a multiple of that condition. There are more Liberians, because if you take the proportional population, during the coup, Liberia was less than 3 million people. Today, we are more than 5 million people. So we are twice the number of people who are in poverty. We are twice the number of people who don't have access to healthcare. We have twice the number of people who are dying every day because of failure in leadership, because democracy has not delivered the dividends, because our system is such that those who have access to wealth are the ones who have access to power. So in election after election, it's not going to make things better, because election has become now a competition among thieves. So this is why it's necessary for militant intervention in our political process.
Don't say that, Mr.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gay, I'm coming to you, but let me give out a few of our stuff for now. Based on the survey we just did, the names that came in the top 3, Sam Wallow, Fixed Electronics, and Emmanuel Bro. Those are the 3. So we have gift cards here, Mr. Wallow. You have a choice of Subway, $25 Subway. You got Dunkin' Donuts, or you got Starbucks. So you can either call.
Wait a minute, Jerome. Even though I voted for Wallow, but I thought you say our favorite fan. He's not a favorite fan.
Well,
is he?
But
that
was a joke. Congratulations.
Listen, 5 people voted. Henry came up number
I,
one on all
I
five. So
wouldn't give
obviously, he got to be
anything
number
to
one. Everybody listen.
Wale is part of the group that misled the Liberian population. They
Aha.
oversold to the
Oh,
people.
so the
That's
militants
a
are
separate
recipe were
discussion.
getting
That's a
it.
separate discussion right now.
You been busy. Yeah, you should have been on the show. I was saying.
That's right. So, Mr. Dr. Waller, Mr. Waller, whichever you can call, you have a choice. And fixed electronics, I don't know who is that, but you know, you are our second favorite. And then Emmanuel Bro in that order. You guys came up on all five of our votes. So call in Mr. Waller and tell her which one you want. Fixed electronics, call which one you want. And Mr. Bro, you got a choice of
Oh, but
Starbucks.
you have to have the first person to choose, the second person, and then the last person get left for whatever one is left there.
Oh yeah, but that's what I said. Mr. Waller can call. Let me pin the number here so we can do it. But Mr. Gay, while waiting for the winners, go ahead and address this issue. Front Page Africa has the story. I think I sent it to Jimmy Eastman. Everybody can read it about the confiscation of guns and the revocation of all the permits that have been given in the country. From it doesn't matter how long you had it. But what surprised me the most is that scared me is that the Roma did not start from the ordinary people. It started within the joint security. So that tells me that they themselves are planning something, maybe to do something to the people, because usually you will hear these things in a bar, in other places. You're not hearing it on the street. You're hearing it from among the security folks. And the guy called me and said,
Mr. Gilman,
Fixed electronics, you must give me a one reward. You don't want it.
Mr. Gilman, I'm so sorry. Let me just interrupt you and give you this my own reliable source, because all of us got reliable sources in Liberia. What I've gathered, and I think it's very dangerous, I think this government is planning to plunge the country into chaos. There is a belief, there is a plan, or no, believe that George Weah House in Jamaica Resort has gone. So this is why they're giving this thing or canceling all permits. So why shout out? In coming months, they will say they're going to search George Weah House. Why shout? And you don't have to believe it now, but when it happens, you come by and say your source was reliable. They're going to search his house for arms.
well, Mr. Gay, I didn't want to go there, but everybody was telling us this is a pretext to go after those who they want to go after. You said, go ahead, address.
Look, Mr. Gamer, you know, I've been sitting here. I was a very young man when the war started. Very young. Didn't even
Which war?
the 1989 war.
Oh, I think you meant the 1912 war.
Right? But, you know, as a kid, my childhood was taken away from me. I had to become an adult overnight. Here in the diaspora, I still don't have the Liberia that the people say they wanted to give us after 30 years. Circumstances now even getting worse in Liberia than it should have been all along. So the 250,000 plus people lost their life for nothing. Did people went into exile for nothing? And the only accomplishment we can count, we have a peaceful election. So after the peaceful election, what else? Back to square one? Is that what we're going to celebrate? Oh, we have a peaceful election. Liberia election was free and fair. Then you go right back to the marginalization. You go right back to the suppression. Now, a former president is coming back to a nation and the whole airport like a war zone. What are we doing? When I saw that letter from the police IG yesterday, I was sharing a group chat. Police don't make law. They enforce the law. The law comes from our first branch of government. Police only act. They cannot dictate to the general public. And I agree with others. I don't feel safe in Liberia without having my own firearm at home. I don't feel safe living in prison compound with all iron bars everywhere. I felt trapped when I went to Liberia. That iron bar everywhere. If you talk about public safety, if there is a fire, if there is an emergency, you will die in there. There's no escape route, no exit point. You talk about public safety and people riding motorbike with umbrella. Where is the public safety? You talk about public safety with lawmaker driving on the opposite side of the street and call that third lane. Where is the public safety? Then this administration came into office unprepared. They are so afraid they want to give these politicians enough money so nobody compete with them. So $11.8 million into the national budget to give the lawmaker when 14 counties out of 15 counties have no vehicle for police in Liberia. Police only have vehicle in Maserado County only. Outside of Maserado, we don't have vehicle. How can you run a country like this? Since the government came into office, nothing she has done that resemble reconciliation, that resemble peace talk, unity, and progress of the nation. All the behavior of this administration have intensified divisiveness, putting people together, creating uncertainty, stoking fear in people. That in itself is a suppression on the greater population of the country. We have less men and women, less than 10,000 men and women in all security sector in Liberia, when we have 5 million people. From a tactical standpoint, we need 50,000 men and women in Liberia to address 5 million people problem. You have less than 10,000, and you are doing things like this to the nation. What are they thinking? And you think when you say, oh, we'll take your gun from you, that will solve the problem? Go ask Charles Taylor, who have almost all the sophistication when it comes to vehicle and weapons. Osama bin Laden, where is he today? All these guys that think that, oh, they were too powerful and nobody could come closer to them, they're nowhere to be seen today. In as much as I don't want coup d'etat, we can pressure this government through our peaceful protests. And I believe that can work. I believe that can work. We should start.
Man, not even a line protest, Anthony. Not a line protest.
Well, if we start doing the peaceful protests without stoning police with rocks, I'm not for no protester holding rocks in a hand. I'm for protester being empty-handed, peaceful, and petitioning the lawmaker and holding them accountable. That's what I'm for. I know it works. And when a lot of group of people peaceful, under no circumstances police will open tear gas on you, let alone fire a live bullet. Like I said, the entire Liberia, we have less than 10,000 men and women in all security sector. And in order to adequately address 5 million people, we need at least 50,000 men and women in uniform. We don't have that number yet. So they should be very careful, very mindful. President Boaka, if you're listening to me this afternoon or this evening or tonight in Liberia, tone down the rhetoric, speak to the nation, and tone down the tension. Your administration have been doing things to, stoke fear in people, suppress people and scare people, people losing a job. And you went to where, what's it called, on CBL now, 200 plus people about to lose their job. And you say, oh, because of budgetary constraint. If that's for that reason, and you're not going to replace them with any other person, even if you replace them with one person, then your intention is wrong. Because according to that letter, it's because of budgetary constraints. We should stop doing. Look at what is happening. We are coming to office, Southeasterner dominated the government. Now you came into office, Lofian dominating your government. So what happened to the rest of Liberia? Is that how we're going to govern ourselves? That after election, you have to rub it in people's face? You guys need to grow up. And for
Thank you.
Liberia to move forward, excuse me, you're the older folks here. It will not take the old people to move our country. The same mindset of the past, they continue in this 21st century cannot suffice. We, the young people, we need to rise up, but not the young people with stones in their hand. It's the young people with peaceful placard. It's the young people with mindset that is innovative, that is willing to do the right thing. Put the rocks down and challenge these people on a daily basis. And once that time comes, they will have nothing to do but to conform to our demand. And I want to give back my time.
Mr. Give me a revoke Sam Water $25 gift card for that last 10 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Sam Waller. Sam Waller is an ardent supporter of the Unity Party. So anytime you say anything against the Unity Party, he's upset. He said he will not take the gift card that he won because you are bashing Unity Party. Mr. Waller, we didn't give it to you.
Highlight it, man. Comment. I read that comment quick.
Yeah.
It's all deplorable.
Mr. Waller says all of you should be ashamed of yourself. This is so deplorable and sad. I will certainly not accept. I will not be accepting any gifts from this platform. And this may well be my final viewing of this FOL platform. It gives a voice to people calling for military. It's a new direction. Just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, something is fundamentally wrong with some of our people or some of you people.
Mr. Gongo, you're talking about.
Ladies and gentlemen, when President Weah was president here, Waller couldn't see anything right. Everything was killing and extrajudicial killing and stealing billions and doing this. And they won't mind if the president lost his life. Today, he said somebody just suggested that.
I think you had to put a last comment on the screen.
Huh?
Somebody responded to Waldo.
Oh, which one? This one?
Mm-hmm.
More about yeah. Why you're even giving this man time and space on the show? He is eating JMB plate. He will come singing by next show because he has no other life. He loves this show. Mr. Waller, you love
we appreciate him.
This show loves you. We appreciate you. You always come out here.
Yeah, we all condemn Mr. Gongo coming. No military take over should happen in that country.
No, listen.
Into something worse.
Mr. Gongo did not say military. He said we should look around our region. He said
don't go watching the memo. Let him say
they're cool in Guinea. They're cool in Mali. They're cool in Liberia. Is not an exception. If you don't do right by the people. The people.
The man was saying that military dictators have done well in the region. So maybe Liberia taking military taking do well for the country. That's what he said. And I don't think that's a good.
Let me say this, Jerome. There is no way anybody should advocate for us to go back to the dark days of a military government. There are a lot of evil things that come out of the military government. Some of you may have forgotten the infamous Decree 88. You couldn't even come on the air to say anything about the government. Decree 88 was about even rumor. So we're not advocating for going back to the dark days. I think Liberia has proven to be a flourishing democracy. We've had peaceful turnover of powers from Ellen Johnson to George Weah, and from George Weah to Joseph Boakai. I think our people now are maturing to the point where if you come to the mansion and you don't do what you're supposed to do, they understand what to do now. They know how to exercise their freedom to remove you without the use of violence or guns. So nobody should advocate any kind of coup d'etat here. Whatever is happening in Mali or wherever, that's their thing. We will vote you out if you come into office. I mean, our people are showing it. Look at the legislature. The return rate into the legislature is less than 10%. They vote them out because after their first term, the people realize who they are. They vote them out. So I think our people are maturing enough. They know they have a choice. So nobody's going to, nobody is advocating for military democracy. I mean, militarism here.
No,
I think
look,
speakers here
Mr. Jiman, Mr.
just try to
Jiman,
make a point.
Yeah.
10 seconds.
Yes,
10
go ahead.
seconds. Look, Mr. Nangwe,
Yes.
and Mr. Morris. I don't know when. So, it's not about advocating for coup or for war, but we should not go back to the dark days of military rule, but we should remain in the darker days of democracy. In Liberia, it's worse right now in Liberia than it was under the military government.
No way. How can you say that, Mr.
You did
Taiwo?
not live at that time. Man, you didn't live at that time.
People were being killed. You just said people were being beheaded. People were scared of to be killed, to be mono. And you think it's happening in Liberia right now? No way.
Morris, you think
But the school survivability was much better than what you try to
wait
to
versus the entire society completely in deplorable condition. So look at what happened. Look,
I think Mr. Eastman will disagree, and maybe Mr. Namo will disagree with that.
let me
Listen,
just make my point.
yeah.
We are not going to agree to stay in the darker days of democracy just because we say we having free and fair election. What does that mean? You voted all of the people out in the first term or second term on Ellen. What happened in on the same Ellen second term when the other group came there? They change. So it's not about just voting people out. It's about the structure that in place must be torn completely down. And for that to happen,
Democracy is always better than dictatorship. 100%.
Okay.
Change.
I think it is, Mr.
Let me come in.
Mr. Eastman, let hear what Mr. Eastman got to say, please.
Mr. Towell.
Right now,
Mr. Towell.
No, Jimmy Eastman, guys.
1 second, Mr. Namo, Mr. Eastman, time, please.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mr. Towell
Because I think
has
Evans
a
is
point.
lying on me.
But-
so I need to
I like you say you were military people.
Go ahead, Mr. Eastman.
Yeah, Mr. Towell has a point. But I tried to talk about this thing last week. We thinking it's the infrastructure. You talk about tearing down. We thinking it's the system. It is not the infrastructure. It's not the system. It's the culture. The culture is what's influencing what is going on. This culture of impunity. The culture, when I go there, I will steal my own. The culture, let's get together. They don't have to know. The public doesn't have to know anything. We can just steal our money. It's the culture that is driving this thing. It's not the infrastructure. We have to change the culture.
And let the
that is
culture
what
be
we're
toned
seeing
down.
changes.
Then let the culture be toned down.
So
Mr.
let me say
Eastman.
this. Let me say this.
Mr.
I will not trade a single day for today for any day, say in 1980, 81, 82, or even prior. Right now, it seems like it's a lot worse only because the social media is exposing all of what is happening. But in relative terms, we're in better days than we were prior to 1980 and also during all of the 1980 days.
Mr. Nambe, will you say that if you're not in America?
No, even in Liberia. I was
If you're
in Liberia.
not in America, will you be saying that?
Not too long ago. Well, let me say this, Jimmy.
Mr. Nangwe, I think
Let me say this. Let me say this. Let me say this.
Listen, Liberia,
I
a
think
whole £100.
because we are enjoying some of the rights that we're enjoying now, we're taking them for granted. I am telling you, the freedom that you enjoy today, the freedom to get on this radio now and express your dissent against a sitting government, you wouldn't dare do this. And so in that way, I still maintain we are in better days. Is the system better than what we had? No, the corruption is still there. But I'm talking in terms of our body politics, the right to move freely, the right to seek an office. You have a Yega Koluba in the legislature. That never would have happened prior to 1980. Never. Never. So if you take a comparison those days to what we have now, I still maintain we're in better days. Is the governance structure, is our system better today? No. No. And this is why we're pressing to do better. But I would not advocate for a military removal of what we have today. I wouldn't.
So let me say this. You know, when I listen to Mr. Nangwe, I'm reminded of those who argue that we have better education system because one Liberian student went to Ghana and he tapped the Ghanaian school system. So you see, We got good school system, you know. So you take a single element of a rotten group because that one perform well, well, our system is better than Ghanaian. That's the kind of argument you're making here, you know. But I'm not surprised that you're making that argument because we are all product of this failed system, you know, and because we Liberians, I compare Liberians to a woman in a very abusive relationship, and even if the good person comes and say, I love you, I can do this, you don't believe it because all you know is this man who beat you every night or every day, curse at you, and very mean to you. That's all you know through all your life. That's all you know. And this is a typical reflection of how Liberian society is. Now to my point, Elvis, I don't shy away from my view here. You know, on our constitution in Article 15, we have right to, you know, free speech, to hold opinion, be it academic freedom. We have that, and that's what I'm exercising on this platform, right? You can classify, you can characterize it the way ever you want. What I have said, and I'm going to repeat myself as we close this show, that what democracy has brought is increased poor health, increased bad education, increased corruption, increased crime, and everything that you think should work the opposite. All our indicators are under the water in the democratic system. So election has not been the result, has not led to that, because we have a system that is not working. If we don't change our system and have not just maybe the system, we don't have a leadership of courage. Leaders must have courage to make decisions. If we don't have that, today President Bouaga appears to have courage only to go after former government official, but he does not have courage for Mamaka ability. He does not have courage for Madela Kopo. He does not have courage for the public works minister. He does not have courage for the national port manager. He does not have courage for LPRC, who entered into agreement without the legislature, who went to loan, who brought in a Ghanaian company. He does not have courage for many other things to do, right? The list is too long. I can't even name it. He does not have even the courage to honor the Supreme Court opinion. When Supreme Court said, do not proceed with appointment at LTA, it's okay, I agree. The very next day, within 24 hours, he reappointed. He does not have the courage to do the right thing, but he has the courage to do certain things that in his judgment, he thinks is right. He looks through the mirror, say, this is what I'm doing. So that's what democracy is bringing for us. All I'm saying is, we have had these elections. We have one military intervention. You may not like the outcome. Let's face the fact. The fact is, Joe was not as increasingly as dictatorial and having a military approach to everything. Joe was a student at the university when I was there. He used to come on campus. Joe, we're all students, okay? A sitting president humble himself to come and sit there. It is because of though we have RBB today, we have the first master degree program at university. It was because of those desire for education. And Evers, if you were president today and someone attempt to take your life, I don't know how you react.
How are you justifying this, Mr. Namwe? Mr. Gonglo?
It's easier for you to do that because you are far removed from that scenario. It's easier for you to do that. Like in Liberia, we say, or in my tradition, I should say, we say the war that you are not a fighter on, you are usually the hero on that war. You say, if I were there, I would do so. This is what Evans is doing here. All I have argued is that we try one instance. Other countries,
we should try another one to see it.
Yes, because we have so many data points of democracy, and it has brought it has made the condition worse. All the things that led to the military coup, all the things that led to the civil war, they are happening in their worst form today.
Show me a successful military takeover that's happening right now in this war.
Rwanda.
No, Rwanda is a presidency. He been elected
No,
president.
no, military takeover.
It's a
Ladies
military
and
takeover. He
ladies
just
and
transformed
gentlemen,
himself.
ladies and
He just
gentlemen, ladies
transformed
and
himself to a
gentlemen,
civilian
Burkina
rule.
Faso is successful.
listen, ladies
That's
and
the truth.
gentlemen.
So why would you say,
We
you know, Rwanda?
listen.
Rwanda, what they have, they choose who can run against the president. Rwanda, I don't know whether you've been to Kigali. As soon as you enter, your telephone number is registered. They monitor everything. In fact, in Rwanda, the police, according to students, I'm helping some of them. You ever should just go to the police station, you lodge your complaint, the police can only pick up phone and call the person. They will go to the police station. Police does not go to the Bureau House because they are so ruthless to the extent that if you stay away from police call, you don't know the reaction, you regret it. So people
So that's a good thing in your mind. That's a good thing to have.
The society is working.
So what I'm saying to you is, but what is the difference today of that? It's the fastest growing economy in Africa. They are the most organized, the most cleanest city in Africa and probably in the world. Probably cleaner than
It justifies the means to governmental oppression of the people as long as you have economic development.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Let me say this to my brother.
one minute, please. Let's hold on here. Mr. Eastman, can you please put up our star for next week? We are going to be honoring and paying tribute to Dennis John next week, guys. Next Sunday, our next show, the first portion of our show will be dedicated to knowing who this one man is, Dennis John. We have seen him. He has interviewed us. We have interviewed him, but we don't know who he is. We're going to dig a little deeper. We're going to find out where he hails from, how he got here. Come here with the idea of this distinction to have a platform that caters to all Liberians. I have accused him of being underground. So I tell you what, CPP man. Then someone said he slipped from there. He went to Joseph Boakai. One place he had never been was CDC, so I know that. So we are going to be dedicating the first part of our show next week to interviewing and knowing who this man is. We're going to find out where he was born, who his parents are, how he became such a great parent. And I heard he's very brilliant, smart guy. So it's something in the water in the Southeast. These people are very smart folks. We're going to find out. So next week, gentlemen, ladies, tune in. Let's go face to face with Mr. Dennis Jah. And after Mr. Dennis Jah, our next show, Mr. Eastman, can you put on Mr. Kwiwakwa?
Okay.
So this is our anniversary month. We are profiling everybody every week, one person, and we're going to be talking to that person. Today, we dedicated a show. This is Mr. Anthony Kwiwakwa. Mr. Kwiwakwa is a politician. He's a humanitarian. He worked in the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government. He worked in the Joe Weah government. I think he was deputy minister at one of the ministries. He ran for office the last time around. There was a huge problem in Nima County. We're going to talk to him the third Sunday. This coming Sunday will be Dennis Jah. The next Sunday will be Mr. Kwiwakwa. And we're going to find out what he's made of, what he has done since he's been in the United States, what he intends to do, and what the future holds for the Kwiwakwa clan. Thank you very much. Mr. Eastman, can you take that down, please? So next week, guys, tune in for Mr. Dennis Jah, and the week after that will be Mr. Kwiwakwa. And then our finale, the final week, the last week in September, our finale, we are going to pick somebody randomly from our show here, and we're going to profile that person. We're going to find out who that person is. I'm not saying Jimmy Eastman. I'm not saying Mr. Nangbe. I'm not saying the young man Elvis. We are not saying Mr. Elvis. We're not saying Mr. Tao. We are not saying Mr. Gonglo. We may want to know Mr. Gonglo. Where all this military thing come from. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have gone 10 minutes after our time.
Why is he so reactionary?
No, Mr. Gonglo, I mean, that's a terrible history, especially the stain that it put on certain groups of people. We don't want that again.
Our time here. Let's go to our closing. Mr. Gonglo, we begin with you. Your closing on the issues. You were not here when we paid tribute to Mr. Edward Doe, one of our fallen heroes, the founder of On Point. died suddenly 2021. We just paid tribute to him, spoke to his wife, and it looks like God is blessing the family. She's continuing. Your closing argument. Send you from the closing argument, sir.
Yeah, thank you. I read a little. I read a little short story about him. He was a mathematician, as I understand. True, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, he studied mathematics. I'm a mathematician myself. I studied both mathematics and statistics, so I'm a quantitative guy. So, but beyond that, it's a sad thing whenever someone loses his life, when somebody passes on to the great beyond. It's sad because one never want to be alive. Even your parents are in it, maybe 100 years old. You still feel sad whenever they pass out. So, um, my hearts go out to the family, and I hope they will take solace in the fact that this is a situation that no one has control over. God can say, hey, tomorrow morning, and that's it. So that's how much. But I also feel proud and energized that I'm ready to actually debate my opinion and to talk about all things Liberia. Because I think our country is on a death row. We need to take Liberia from the death row. And that's why I'm preferring this debate. And I would love people like Elvis maybe to counter me. Maybe we can have another debate arranged between Elvis and myself where he can research.
I want to debate as a Congo. I'll just push by one time.
We can look at the economic history of where military leaders have been in Africa and other parts of the world, and compare it with the economic history, the performance of the economy under democratically elected government, probably in Liberia. Saying we're talking about Liberia, we can look at Rollins' record in Ghana. We can look at Abraham Bamangida record. We can look at Murtala Mohammed. How the economy perform under them. We can look at Paul Kagame because he's a military man. He's just wearing civilian clothes. Okay, we can look at that, and that's what I think we should debate. And I'm prepared for that, Elvis. So you are passionate about this.
I am.
Thank you. It's a towel.
Yes, I'm glad to be here, and Mr. Gibman, I personally would thank you for giving me the opportunity to be part of this panel because you were the one that I reached out to. I didn't know Mr. Doe, but now that I got to know, we're grateful to continue his legacy, and we continue to offer prayer and hope to his family because the lady seemed to be very strong that she was able to carry on to get her kids to where they are now, and that she continue to find the strength and wisdom to keep on pushing. But when it comes to the thing about country, there is something that is in the minds of the Africans, and you find this in the minds of people who have been dehumanized, who have been read the book of Dr. Amos Wilson, The Falsification of the African Consciousness. He was a psychologist, and look at his work, blueprint for Black Power. Read some of those books. Read Fanon's book, Black Skin, White Face of Mask, or some is. What happened to these people? And read Dr. Yusuf Ben Yakana work. Is that we think to associate this term violence, because when you look at everybody that is in power, they are not afraid of violence. How is the U.S. ruthlessly ruling the world? Ruthlessly.
Yeah.
How is China rising when you see the tension? Yeah, when you see the tension so when they mention violence, they don't put it in context because they have taught us, because the people who oppress us want us to be afraid of that when we hear violence, run from it. So you know why? The phrase, if you're a Christian, turn the other cheek. Then somebody asked her one time, they said, but wait, why is it that the Western guys never turn the other cheek? Then somebody said, because they're doing the slapping. Killing and to be prepared to die. These are the two things that if it is missing from this consciousness of a people, they're forever enslaved, to die and to kill. There is nothing wrong with it. It is how it is done. So what we are saying here is we shouldn't just be proud that we have some election, that we vote them out after the second term. Yeah, you voted them out during Ellen. What happened? So, Mr. Eastman, when nobody's advocating, say go ahead and fight, but we are looking at this stuff from this broader context. You say it is the culture. That is true. But I'm saying whether it is the culture, but it's the entire system. Because look at the structure here. Why is it that when the other guys were voted out, the new guys that came there continue the same thing? Because the rules and regulations that they put in place, that's what govern the system. So the rules and regulations that govern the system, that make it work, it will all move in that direction because it's almost like they're piped in that direction.
Great.
So since they're piped in that direction, you have to take down that. If it is not working, it is even in our own constitution. If the government is not working, you have the right to take it down.
Thank you.
What?
So, look, gentlemen, the
Yes.
truth here is voting every 4 years or every 6 years is not going to fix this. The guys are there. Everybody else going to talk. They're just waiting. Their own 6 years come. They get in. That Dylan was it like? What happening now? Dylan was it like? Everybody was cheering him. My uncle was calling me every day. This guy called Dylan. I said, Uncle, don't worry. You will soon see him. Now I'm calling him. I said, that fool.
Every
So
single
you see,
month.
Okay, guys. Let's make it short. We're way over our time here. Go ahead. Go ahead, Len.
yeah. So Gonglo is not saying anything that is wrong. If democracy is not working, it's not what Gonglo say or what we say. Is that there will be the need for it to be replaced. So what we are telling the government is that if you want for democracy to be respected, as you are claiming, make it work. Because if it don't work, people will look for alternative. Because when you abandon all the youth, guess what? Those are possible recruits. That is how it happened during the war. When though government didn't invest in them, they were possible recruits.
Thank you.
So all those possible recruits are there. And one last thing, democracy is not the best form of government. Even the US don't practice democracy. Go ahead and listen to the debate at their constitutional convention when they're writing it. They refuse. They don't have democracy. They have a republic. And guess what? It is not no one man, no vote. It's even a crook system where there is an electoral college deciding. So you could get 60 million votes. Some crook guys will say the college is what deciding who wins. Go and look at it.
Thank you. Mr. Namwe.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. No lady again. But congratulations to FOL. I think 5 years and going forward, and of course, to Mr. Doe and others who started the journey. So let me end this with this to my brother Gonglo Kliwo. I'll say it again. I will not trade a day today for a day prior to the democratic elections of 1997. He talked about, what the military has done on the continent. Let him bring forth the records and let's put that against what the democracies have done around the world. I think his problem is his assessment of what the military has done versus what democracies have done on the continent is only an assessment of democracies on the continent. So
Yeah, but
what
we're
we
talking about
have,
the continent.
what we have on the continent, it leaves a lot to be desired. I get that. But look at other countries or look at other democracies around the world. I'm not going back to those days where I had to always look over my shoulder to see who's coming to stand under my window at night, who's coming to take me to jail simply because I'm expressing my right to express my disgust with the misrule of a government. Is that what he's telling me to go back to? Never. Never. I said again, we're in better days. This current democracy that we're enjoying is better than the autocratic regime of the military government, where the constitution was suspended, where they were ruling by decrees. You couldn't go and protest in the street. You couldn't even say a word on the radio without being called in for questioning or being taken in at night. Is that what we should go back to? What Kagame is doing in Rwanda is a mix of democracy and the military regime. Go next door to Ghana. Yes, Rolling brought in but look at the democracy that's flourishing in Ghana. See what they've done there. So you can't tell me that democracies have done better for the continent than, military regimes have done better for the continent. No, I'm embarrassed that he's saying that. I wish you were here to tell him that. His own brother will come here and tell him he needs to take that back. He needs to take it back, because these are the kind of expressions and utterances that will encourage and embolden these fools who carry guns all over the place to come here and make a coup. We don't want no more coups in Liberia. No, we've had enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Morris?
Look, Mr. Gaiman, let me tell you something. Democracy is only a process by which we pick those who will govern us. Democracy itself is not the way we govern. When you pick somebody using the process of democracy, the way they govern is on their capabilities, their sensitivities. So I am a Democrat, a true Democrat. I believe in the democratic tendencies. I believe in the freedom that democracy affords our people, and the freedom of expression to express themselves through voting. I'm a strong proponent of democracy. Dictatorships, by its very nature, it is something that one person dictates and everybody else must follow. It has never worked for any society. It always breeds contempt, always breeds resistance, and most often it leads to oppression and repression of that nation. We will never advocate for anybody having a military rule or some kind of, quote unquote, benevolent, dictator. It's never a good thing. And somebody who I hold in high esteem, like Mr. Gonglo, to come and say that, and even justifying, somebody like a Samuel Doe, who in full disclosure is my own kinsman, but I think he did terrible things and caused irreparable damage to our people, especially the Crown ethnic group. And you heard many people, especially that of the people of Nima County. So to hear Mr. Gonglo saying that this was better times than we have today, and somebody said, "Will he be saying this if you're in Liberia?" I don't think so, because the reality is people in Liberia may not have the economic freedom or the economic prowess, but they have the freedom, to choose. They have the freedom of life to move around freely, the freedom to criticize. Those are things that we've been yearning for. Those are things that somebody like Mr. Nando fought for. Things like, the other progressive that they fought for, and we have it today. Yes, the people who we pick to govern us are not as effective as we wish. They're not, bringing us economic prosperity, like we hope for. But the reality is the process of picking our leaders through a democratic, process is always good. It's always the best way. Somebody taking power by force and holding on to it and giving decrees and giving dictates is never the best way for us. So please, Mr. Gonglo, reconsider. Talk to your brother and talk to your sister. I'm sure they will disagree with you. We can try to perfect our governance and make it more effective. But the process by which we choose our leaders should always be democratic. That's my take on it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Our ultimate diplomat, Mr. Eastman.
I want to quote Winston Churchill a little bit. He said, "No one pretends that democracy is perfect or all wise. Indeed, it has been said that democracy is the worst form of government, except for all those other ones we have been trying from time to time." Look, I will be talking this thing from now to Judgment Day. We have to do a root cause analysis if we're going to. We all agreed to come to some rules. Whether this is the whole thing about a system of policy. We said these are the rules we will follow. But if we don't respect the rules that we will follow, what do we expect will happen? We said everybody must declare their assets. That's part of the Constitution. And 75% of the people have not done it. That's just the tip of the iceberg. How about all those other things they're doing in there? giving themselves fabulous salary, gas allowance, housing allowance. Why people can't even find a bench, a chair in school to go to, or medicine, and endorsing themselves with all these luxuries. We don't follow the rules we agreed to. So no system will work if you're not following the rules you agreed to. There will not be a system that works. Now, why dictatorships appear more successful? Because you are forced to follow certain rules. You have military degrees, whatnot. You are forced to follow certain rules. That is why they appear successful. But I want to tell you, we come from an era. Our Namibia was part of the. We come from an era where Liberian students like Alaric Tokpa and the Eight, they stood up to a military junta and said, "Y'all kill us." They were not afraid. They said, "Y'all kill us." Everybody thought those guys would have been executed, and they were not. We are not cowards, but we have wisdom now, and we know the way forward is to agree to the principles you decided to live upon with. That's the only way forward. Any other way, then you have to be beaten. You have to be militarily disciplined to do it. Then that's the only other way we will do it. What about our own maturity as a people? That we agree to these rules and will live by them. And that is where the lacking is. So when we're looking for solutions, let's make a root cause analysis. What's the problem is? We're not following our own rules and constitution that we believe in. That's part of the problem. So next week we'll be doing much more of the same, but it will always come down to our ability to live by the rules that we agree to live by. That's why I am.
Thank you. Let me give you a tease here. Next Sunday, we'll be doing it in honor of our man.
Is that your man singing?
This is a teaser. We'll be honoring the Grebo people next Sunday. Dennis Ya, Tato.
Hello.
So, ladies and gentlemen, next Saturday we'll be honoring the Grebo chief himself. Mr. Dennis Ja will be interviewing him to see what is it that make him tick. Everybody wants to have their own show. Everybody want to do their own thing.
Jerome, I don't think we should honor this man until his mission is accomplished to become superintendent of Sando County. That's his mission.
Well, that one there, you gotta go talk to JMB. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a passage from Brooks. And this is something that will be part of my memoir. I'm writing a book. I have met 6 presidents. My first was when I was vice president for EULA, President Jawara. In 1990, we went to the Peace Accord. And then finally, in 2004, I was in Liberia. I was sent by the State Department to talk to Jack Klein. And I asked Jack Klein a particular question. I said, do you think that our country will ever be right? And this Brooke, whether it's Hoxton Brooke, whether it's a man or woman, please, I will just call you Brooke. C. Brooks.
Houston Brooks is a man. He's in the Army. Okay. I think in Hawaii. We know him well.
Houston Brooks, this is exactly what Jack Klein told me. He said, Mr. Gaiman, I'm a retired Air Force general. He said, Liberia is a failed American experiment. It is so bad. He says, we are now looking at between 2030 and 2065. He says, that generation will die out. Your generation will die out. He said, but we are looking at your children. that age group, that second generation, these are professionally trained people from the new world. They are highly professional. They are trained in the West. They will be sufficiently well ready to run this country. They will not need to take what don't belong to them. I sat back in my chair. He said, I am telling you, if you depend on the aliens of the world to straighten this, it's not going to happen. And if we depend on your generation to make it happen, it will not happen. He said, but your children and your children's children. So the Liberia that you and I want to see, and Mr. Brooks said it is not in our lifetime. The democracy that we foresee will be in full effect 2060.
But Jerome, I don't know when you had this conversation, but quickly, that prediction, the problem has been exacerbated by the use of drugs and just the breaking down of the fabric of our society. This is what bothers a lot of us, because the young people who are supposed to take over from us, there is a gap that's being created right now. And
of course,
we are in a worse shape than we were at the time.
That's why it is a time for us to invest in the real infrastructure, which is education, social services. It is not a gap between us and these people. It's a gulf. I mean, it is so big. So you have two generations that lack formal education. When you and I were in school, we did hygiene, we did ethics, we did all of these things. These kids didn't even hear about those things. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in.
Listen, gentlemen, before we close, I just want to pick on Mr. Nangwe's last comment. I mean, not the last comment, the previous comment he made, that today, he ain't going by is better today than 1980 or pre-1980. If I ask Mr. Nangwe today, when you went to high school, was your high school better compared to the high school today in the country? Do you believe that the education you received, the teachers that were teaching you, were more committed and qualified compared to today?
So, Mr. Gongo, the problem with Liberia is really unique. The problem with Liberia is really unique. The failure of our institution is not because of the military alone. It's a system failure.
No,
system.
I just want yes or no, Mr. Nangwe.
But
the answer is obviously no.
Mr. Nangwe, if you go to JFK today, and you went to JFK 1980, 1982, the way you see the flow, the environment, you saw that we can't relive the past. But if you can imagine how JFK used to appear, how nurses and doctors.
No, but don't say 81, 82. What about in 79, even 74? The way it was maintained. And then when you went back there, said
compare with today's,
it started breaking down.
With today's JFK, what will you say?
I'm sorry?
It's not because of democracy. Democracy didn't cause those things that decay.
Mr. Gongo, what do you think? Is it better or worse?
Liberia is the only country that I know the past is better than the present. In the
no, the war was not better than what we have now.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
I'm glad somebody else said it than me.
Yes.
We have biology lab, we have chemistry lab, we have physics lab, we have, in fact, the best library. When we came to the university, our colleagues who came from other schools, some of them have not seen test tube. But we were doing voluntary titration in 10th grade in chemistry lab, right? So we knew how to write lab report from 10th grade.
But because you were part of the Republic of Monrovia.
And these were brought in by the military, Mr. Gongo?
You were, Mr. Gongo, you were a member of the Republic of Monrovia. That's why. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. We gotta go, guys. We gotta go. Mr. Eastman,
the system is everything and doesn't replace it.
If it there, Mr. Gonglo, see you next Sunday.
They see everything, they don't put anything by. That's my argument.
Thank you, Mr. Gonglo. I'm with you.
You gotta be here next Sunday again.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys.
Liberia is our home.